All right, welcome back to the LPR Trading Group YouTube channel. I'm gonna do a quick video for you guys here today on sort of my Sunday night prep. The market, the futures market is open right now. It opens at 6 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. I'm gonna show you sort of what I look like going into the week, or what I look at going into the week to sort of set myself up for maybe the Monday, Tuesday of trading. You know, the thing is with futures is they're open 23 hours a day. So this is going to trade overnight into, the London Opens, the Tokyo Opens and whatnot. And we're going to have some price volatility, which might trigger our setups overnight, which is fine. I'm not going to set alerts and wake up and do all that jazz. Some traders do it. I prefer my sleep, and I'd like to just come to the market when it's open and we trade the US session and we have plenty of trades to go through. But I do like to have a look at my charts and set up what I could possibly be looking at for the coming days. So what I'd like to do first is I like to open my trading view and we go to the big picture, right? So we go to ES here and we have a look. We're in this sort of big downtrend here on ES, and off of this downtrend, we're actually starting to hold and pop. We've got higher lows. We've got a really nice daily setup here down at the lows. That a lot of the chat room members will recognize here. It's beautiful, but it's also putting in a similar pattern here. We've got lower highs, lower highs. We did make a higher high in this area, and then we completely rolled. Something similar could be happening here. I really like ES trying to go into this 4100 range again, which would be sort of up into this area. Is it going to happen? We don't know. I'm not a forecaster. I don't try and predict the future. Neither does anyone in our chat room. We trade what's in front of us, but what's going to help you a lot actually is building this bigger picture idea. What could the market do? Where is there room for the market to move? Always have a plan both ways, long if, short if. We're really big on plan the trade the plan. We don't just show up at the markets with no plan and then just fly by the seat of our pants. And if we sort of show up to the market and we don't have a defined plan, plans will develop throughout the day based on our market lawyer mindset and building our puzzle pieces or putting our evidence pieces together in order to build a good case to take a trade. So what I like to see here on ES, we have room back into this 4100 area. I really like this. If we can push through these highs at 4020. So that would be really nice. Or if we fail the 4020s, we get back into this range, and this is actually a difficult area to trade. If we get back into this range, it really is what it is. We'll do our best here. My preference is we get above the 4020s and we start trading into 4100. Now, as for our supply and demand, I'm going to delete some of this stuff. We're going to get a little bit fresh on this right here. Okay, we'll delete that. We go to our daily chart here and we can see, let me go like this actually. Pull this guy up and we'll go to the daily. Just because these are colored candles and I prefer to mark this on a colored chart here, these supply and demand areas. So we'll get rid of this. Now, what I like here for ES, this is obvious supply. This was an equilibrium or a balance of the market. Buyers had won, we go into balance, sellers want to battle, buyers give up, and price rolls, right? So this area up at the top side here is going to be a supply area. I'm actually going to look at it on the weekly, and I will start by marking it here on the weekly, which is going to be big. It's fine. We can adjust that. Supply. And what I'm going to do is I'm sort of going to move down time frames and see if I can really drill down an area in here, a smaller area anyways, that we can look to trade off of. And I do see a few smaller areas here. I sort of like this guy. This would be, why do I like this guy, you ask? Well, this is an area right here. We're sort of forming these higher lows. We're forming these lower highs. It looks like buyers go for one last push and then get completely rejected off this area. So I do like that darkened area, and that actually gives us a little bit of a smaller range. Right now we're into a 20-point range, 25-point range. Still way too big for us, but we'll break these down a little bit more. Let's go down to the 2 hour. 2 hours a little bit smaller, but it's still a pretty nonsense range if you ask me. 25 all the way up to 45, 20-point range. Let's go down to the 30-minute and check this range out. And guys, don't get confused by this. We're just looking for an area that price could come up, find sellers again, and get rejected. If we're looking at simple support and resistance, I actually like this area right here. I could probably mark it back here actually. I like this area right here, which is a 40.75, so that's even in front of 4100. Those could be targets for longs. It could be an area where we look to get short, so I'll mark that and I'll put a pivot on it. Go down to the 15-minute here, and we're going to narrow this down by using another chart, and I will show you that in a second. Let me get rid of these arrows here. Okay, that looks like it pretty much for the chart. Now this is for a supply area where sellers came in and pushed price down. If we look back into our buy areas or demand zones, we'll do the same thing. We'll sort of scope out to the weekly. We'll have a look. We see weekly, no obvious demand in there. We see the daily chart. I like this, but this is obviously way too far down right now to be playable. But if I do this, I mark demand. Where else did buyers come in? I can delete this, get rid of these. I like this candle right here. Buyers came in. We'll call this a pivot, as we could come back, pull into this area where buyers really held price up here and went for that push to the upside. They could be finding value in this area again. And again, I'll say it again, we have no idea what the market's going to do. We can just make educated guesses, educated decisions based on probabilities and buy-sell volume on what buyers or sellers might do at any given moment. Let's break it down to the 4-hour here. So we get to the 4-hour, we actually saw a nice little influx of buyers here. That's pretty nice. I wouldn't mind marking this right here. Okay, we'll mark that as a pivot low. I'm going to mark this one actually as, we'll leave it at a pivot. It's going to work. Go here, pivot low. Okay, so that's good. So pretty much what I'm looking at here now is if we pull back into these areas, 3820s, these are nice buy areas, right? Really nice buy areas for the move into the 4100. That's what I'm seeing here. If we push above and hold above the 4120s, we need a setup in that area to get a buy signal. Another pivot that we could be looking at here is this pivot low right here. This is a little bit more aggressive, but if buyers are truly very strong, we could get holds in this area and get pushes back into the 4100s. So inversely, if we actually drive off the open or drive into Monday, Tuesday and get into this area, we could see something like this. Or if we want to get even higher into the 4100s, whole dollar, supply zone, we could roll like this as well. If we get into supply and buyers are still strong, holding price up, accumulating as per our order flow, which I will show you, we don't look to shorten supply. We look for it to start pushing through supply and possibly get long through supply. Okay, so this is pretty much what my chart, my candlestick chart, traditional candlestick chart is going to look like. I really don't want to trade a bunch of mess within this area. This is called diddling in the middle. This is like an accumulation or possibly distribution phase to push price up or down. And if you diddle in the middle as a retail trader or as anyone, you'll get chopped up and you will lose money. That goes for higher time frames like the 2-hour, 1-hour, 30-minute, daily, weekly, whatever it is, all the way down to the 1-minute chart. If you're trading a 1-minute chart and you're trading this chop right here and you're in and out within this range, you're getting chopped up. You are being a bad retail trader and you are getting chopped up. It's just that simple, okay? We have to wait for the setups that give us a high probability play outside of these ranges, and those are the setups we're going to take. Now that we have that all marked up, I'll actually move that over, put that on the 2-hour chart, and we're going to go in here. And now what I start looking for, if we're trading strictly price and volume, price and volume, price and volume, this is what doesn't lie, right? I don't use indicators. I used to. I don't use indicators on my charts. It's just price, volume, and some market internals. That's really it. There are a few indicators that we have that do work that you can use as a piece of the puzzle. No single indicator is a take the trade indicator. There's no holy grail. No trade is going to give you a trade based on an indicator all the time. If you think it does, it's a losing system. I can almost guarantee it. So what I'm going to do here is I have these footprint charts, these cluster charts here on Quant Tower, and this is going to show me volume. We call them HVCs, high volume clusters. Okay, the way my chart is laid out is the darker purple represents lower volume, The brighter purple and the white areas represent higher volume. The white areas are a point of control in each candle. So this is a 1 hour chart. Now, what do I like to do on this chart? We're currently trading within this range. I like to find some high volume areas that price can possibly go revisit. Okay? And I mark out these high volume areas on the chart. Now you see how these ranges are much smaller than our big ranges up in this area. We had a 4110 all the way up to 4200. We have a 90-point range here we're dealing with to take a trade in. Now we have a 2-point range. Okay? And if we want to actually scroll all the way back, we could, and start marking out the high volume areas within that big 90-point high volume area. Not interested, because I really don't care what the market does in a week or 2 weeks or a month. We want to plan for the next day, this day, and maybe the coming 2 or 3 days. That's about it. But realistically, you can plan on a Sunday, come in on a Monday, make a small adjustment, trade your Monday plan, Tuesday plan, make a plan, trade your Tuesday plan, Wednesday, make a plan, trade your Wednesday plan, etc., etc. Okay? So I notice up here, we also have an HVC that we haven't tested. That box is in price pretty good. I think these are going to get tested outside the market hours. Now listen, does this mean if we come down into this area, just buy it no matter what and hope it goes up? If it comes up here, short it no matter what and hope it... No. Market lawyer mindset tells us build evidence or build your puzzle. When you have enough puzzle pieces, you're allowed to execute the trade. Any one thing that I'm showing you right now is not enough to execute a trade. Okay? It's not enough by itself to execute a trade. I'll zoom out a little bit. I have some areas down here that I marked. Some of them got pushed through. That's fine. Now, what I want to do on Sunday is just mark the obvious areas around price. If price moves outside of those areas, I'll delete an area. I'll go mark some new areas tomorrow morning, and we'll continue on like that. We can also go down to the 30-minute chart, which I don't really do on a Sunday because these levels usually get tested, they work or they break through, and then by Monday morning I still have to go back and redo all the levels. 30 and the 15-minute chart are more of like a fine-tuning type thing. Okay, so I use those before the market opens or intraday as the market's ebb and flowing its price action and volume out. I'll use stuff like that. One other thing I like to do here is I like to pull up, let me pull this over here. I like to pull up the Bloomberg economic calendar for the week. So this is going to tell us the economic calendar for the week. All I do is I go to filters, I clear everything. I go to only US because this is the most impactful news for the most part to the US market. I select all on this. I want to see all categories, any economic events that are being launched, and importance. I only want to see the highest level of importance. Now, there are some valid economic events that will influence the market within this area, even in this area. The most important ones that I want to focus on are within this area. I hit apply and it gives me this economic calendar. So now I know Monday has no events. It's a pretty clean day. Tuesday, though, it's pretty messy at 10 a.m. Now, if the market opens at 9:30 a.m., in our room, we're typically waiting the first 15 minutes before we take a trade. That only gives us 15 minutes to get in and out of a trade. So Tuesday will likely be a day that we don't trade until after 10 o'clock, maybe 10:10, 10:15. You might have seen other traders or channels where they're in a trade at 9:50 or 10:50 or 9:55. All of a sudden at 10 o'clock, the market flies in their direction or against them, and they're like, oh my God, what happened? Like, what happened here? It must have been news, must have been something. It's likely this, and they're just not doing their due diligence to check the economic calendar to realize I should not be in a trade. All of the biggest firms in the world that trade, their whole desk, all of their traders, they are not allowed to trade these economic events. So if some of the best traders in the world and the desk is saying, or their firms are saying, you are not allowed to trade through these events. Why? Because it's a sheer gamble, okay? It's a sheer gamble and you can get really, really hurt. For the most part ES doesn't have any slippage. Maybe 1 tick, 2 ticks. Through these economic events, you can get points of slippage, okay? It can also go against you very fast. for those casino people watching this video right now, it can also go in your favor really fast. I do not recommend trading those economic events. So now that we have this laid out, we've got a base idea of what we want to see here in the markets. We've got our big ranges up here into the 4100, all the way down into the 3600s. And I even like sort of all of these little pivot lows here. We've marked some out here. So I've got this big picture idea on the candlestick chart. We've got some resistance up here at the 4075. We've broken it down on our volume chart and checked out some HVCs that could really start influencing price, or price could start acting like a magnet towards those high volume clusters, because essentially that's what the market wants to do, is it wants to ebb and flow between one high liquidity area to the next, and then find another one, and then find another one. This is supply and demand in a nutshell, right? Buyers versus sellers. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. I don't want to get too complicated on this, but I've really opened up the hood here on some of the stuff that we do within the course and what we do within our chat room. This is the stuff that we're looking at every day, every week, to really map out and plan our trades. Now, this is the last video I'm going to offer this. If you stayed till the end of this video, reach out to me in the comment section about a free trial. Just put a comment out saying free trial. I will send you a message back. We'll exchange an email. I'll get your Discord information, which is just your username and your 4-digit code at the end. I'll add you to a friend, and I'll invite you into the group for a 2-week trial, okay? There's no strings attached on these trials, but if any of you want in the group just to see what we're about, I'm absolutely willing to open it up to you guys. And this is the last video I'll be doing this for a little while probably, so take advantage of it. Like, comment, subscribe. As soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll be going live on YouTube, likely in the pre-market to do some analysis like this, possibly sometime throughout the day, and likely on Sunday nights to do a few sort of webinars like this or revamps and have a little chat about the markets and the charts. Okay, with that being said, we'll see you guys on the chart on Monday. Take care, be safe, have a good night.